Faith, hope, and love, Gurdjieff considered or called them the three sacred impulses. And you could see direct parallels into the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You can see, I believe, very direct parallels into the three brains. Faith is of the first brain. Faith. Must have faith. Strength comes from that. Faith as a sacred impulse is, this is what I am. Take me for what I am. Don't make me into something other than what I am. I have confidence in that. I see into my physical nature, and this is what I am. It's really important. I have faith in that. I have faith in the capacities that are given to me as a physical body. They're not blown up. They're not imaginary. They are limited to what capacities I have as a physical body. When I said it's an assessment of capacity, of my physical capacities, I know that when I was younger, I could climb mountains. I could chop down trees. I could work hard, physically hard. I had certain capacities with regard to cooking. I could cook a meal. I could do the wide variety of things that we do physically in ordinary life. And when I have confidence in those, when I know those capacities, then I have a measure of faith, what I would consider to be faith. I have faith in my capacities. They're there. No question, they're there. Okay? We move to hope. Hope is, in this perspective, hope is the commitment of all of that faith to an enterprise that is indeterminate. Okay? But I must commit my faith. If it's willy-nilly hope, then I hope that the megabucks will pay me $1 million tomorrow, even though I haven't bought a ticket. I mean, we go silly, what for Gurdjieff calls silly hope. It's endless. We hope for all kinds of impossible circumstances. But real hope, sacred hope in Gurdjieff's terms, is for me is the commitment of my capacities to an enterprise. I committed to something. I hope this will come out. But I do that knowing that it might not turn out that way. And I have to accept going into it that while I am committing my capacities to this, I know that lawfully it may not work out. That's the essence for me, that's the essence of hope. As a sacred impulse, Gurdjieff put that in the proper place in the emotional world. He said we must, emotionally or in terms of, I commit my physical capacities to help you, and I do that, the only condition being that I know that it can't possibly work out. Maybe. I can do the best I can. I can commit myself to that, and I hope it will be of use. Okay, that's the kind of qualification of the first brain, okay, and the second brain. For Gurdjieff, the third brain is, as he considered it, is the true holy affirming, and it is the carrier of love, of divine love, not emotional love. What I called in the one essay that I tried to write on the three sacred impulses, the best I could come up with, and I realized that it may have lots of shortcomings, was the impulse of goodwill toward all and everything. Okay, that regardless of what it is, at its own measure throughout the array of creation, I wish it well, and that is. I could understand that as an expression of divine love. It's not a mamby-pamby thing. It's very hard, but it's very constant, that the goodwill never ends. Okay. Three sacred impulses are also, it's possible to collapse those, if you will, into the will of endlessness. That Endlessness must have the three sacred impulses fused into one. So then we can say that faith, hope, and love have one higher expression within the triune will of endlessness.
In the chapter, The Cosmic Origin of the Sacred Impulses, we maintained that the sacred impulses of faith, hope, and love enter into each level of the ray of creation. Their actions, as impulses, resulting in properties and functions that can be described as manifestations of the impulses. At the level of the lateral octave, an octave which has its do in 6 of the 12 laws of World 12, great nature, or the creative powers of the sun, as reflected into the do C of the lateral octave, enters as a secondary creative influence on the sacred impulses. Via the creative actions of great nature, the sacred impulses become embodied in the life of the earth. One could say that one-celled, multi-celled, and brained beings are the result of the creative manipulations of great nature that blend together what we call the physical world of atoms and molecules with the powers inherent in the sacred impulses. We are surrounded by, indeed, we are embedded within, manifestations, functional expressions of faith, hope, and love. When we look at the trees that surround our houses, we can see the faith, the hope, and the love of treeness expressed. Their faith is seen in their continuing presence as tree. They remain day after day, year after year, true to their nature as tree. The trunk and limb growth, the sprouting of new leaves each spring, the spreading of pollen and seed, each of these are manifestations of their hope, their commitment of all their capacities to be, their faith into an indeterminate future. Their leafy canopy welcomes and protects birds, squirrels, a grand mix of caterpillars, butterflies, moths, and other insects. This welcoming can be understood as one expression of love, their manifestation of goodwill toward other life forms. It is known from studies that their leaves take in carbon dioxide and, empowered by the light of the sun, give off oxygen, that substance vital for other forms of life. Their roots draw from the earth a variety of minerals and water, providing entry for these substances into successive octaves of life, opening new possibilities for each. Each of these processes, occurring in worlds that are invisible to us, is a further expression of the embodiment of love within treeness. Each of these automatic manifestations of the action of faith, hope, and love enters my body, and finally my awareness as an impression. As impulses, they may initiate a process which, if unobstructed by Kundabuffer, Autoklanos, and or my unbecomingness, can resonantly evoke the recognition in me of the presence of these sacred impulses. In this manner, the results of the sacred impulses, embodied in the life forms of the external world, enter into me and evoke, by resonance, the awareness that I, too, am an embodiment of the sacred impulses. It is similarly so when I become aware of the influence of the sun in my life. It warms me, and via its invisible light radiation, makes it possible to see the world around me. It provides warmth and light through which we see to all life, giving without interruption for billions of years. This influence, this never ceasing influence, can be understood as a manifestation of love at the level of the sun. When I look at the images of the sun taken by infrared, visible, ultraviolet, and X-ray observatories, it creates an overwhelming impression of power and energy, of the capacity to be, and year after year to remain that. In this, I am seeing a reflection of the faith of the sun. When I learn that life has been sustained for some 4 billion years by influences originating in the sun, I am momentarily aware of the essence of the impulse of hope. Our sun has committed its capacities, its faith, to this life-giving, life-sustaining, and hazardous venture. Can my commitment of my capacities begin to compare to this level of hopefulness? The examples of trees and of the sun were spoken of as if they involved a specific intention and awareness on their part. Unfortunately, our language is limited in this regard and is a reflection of our strong tendency to anthropomorphize almost everything. The impression that we want to convey is that each of the manifestations noted above are automatic expressions of faith, hope, and love on a cosmic level, flowing always from the emanation of Theomurtmologos. This represents a way of understanding the origin and influence of Gurdjieff's sacred being impulses, considered independently of our narrow human perspective. Given this perspective on the embodiments of the sacred impulses, and keeping in mind that they enter us as impulses, but not as completed states within us, the question that next arises is, what is there inside each of us as three-brained beings that can resonate with these impulses and begin a harmonic process that could result in appropriate manifestations by us and through us of faith, hope, and love? This question led to a further exploration of the biological unfolding of our three brains as specifically related to considerations of faith, hope, and love.
Those three sacred impulses are also, it's possible to collapse those, if you will, into the will of endlessness. That endlessness must have the three sacred impulses fused into one. So then we can say that faith, hope, and love have one higher expression within the triune will of endlessness.